Okay, good morning, grade 8 or good day. So in this video, I will tutor you on your activity sheets for quarter 1, week 2. For week 2, the subject matter is Newton's third law of motion. Okay, let's proceed. So here are the points to remember for this week. Let me read it. The law of interaction is also Newton's third law of motion, stating that each action brings an equal and opposite reaction. Forces are either pushes or pulls resulting from the interactions between objects. Alright, so if you will translate this in Filipino, ang Newton's third law of motion daw ay tinatawag ding law of interaction. Anong sinasabi niya? Na sa bawat paggalaw daw ay nagreresulta sa pareho at magkabaliktad na reaksyon or kabaliktaran na reaksyon. Ang mga pwersa ay pwedeng tulak or pulse, tulak or hila na nagmumula sa mga interaction ng mga bagay-bagay. So, for you to understand this better, I will show you a video clip. So, listen and watch attentively and let's help each other. From time to time, I will push the video I will pause the video and try to explain it, try to translate it. Okay, let's move on.
The only question you need to ask yourself while studying the third law is, what happens when two objects interact with each other? What happens when you place an object on the table? The object exerts a force on the table and the subject exerts an upward force on the object. There are two forces that result from this interaction: a force on the table and a force on the object. The magnitudes of the two forces are the same, but the directions are opposite. These forces are called as action and reaction forces. The force exerted by the object on the table was an action force, and the force exerted by the table on the object is the reaction force.
Alright, so the first illustration here, we have two objects interacting with each other. We have the ball and the table. What is the action here? It's the ball that is put on the table. Its force is downward, and that is the action force. While the reaction, of course, is coming from the table, having the reaction force that is directed upward. So, tama yung sinabi nung law, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So, their forces are in opposite directions. One is downward from the ball to the table, and the other one is upward from the table to the ball. So, in Filipino, alin dyan ang pinanggalingan ng aksyon or galaw? Yung bola nilagay sa table. So, yung pwersa niya, pababa. Yung pwersa naman ni table, which is the reaction, siya yung nag-react, is pataas. So, this ball is not moving because as we learn from second law, whenever the forces are equal, then the object will not move. That is the reason this ball is not moving on the table, because it is reacted, or it is having two forces acting upon it. It's from itself, which is downward, and from the table, which is upward. So we have here the action and the reaction. Okay, let's move on.
What we saw here is nothing but a display of the Newton's third law of motion. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. That's how simple the third law is. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It means that when two objects interact, there is a force on each object. The magnitude of force on the first object equals the magnitude of force on the second one. And what about the direction? The direction of force on the first object is opposite to the direction of force on the second one. Let's talk about more examples. While a frog is swimming, it pushes the water back and the water pushes its body forward. Now let me ask you a question. Say a bird is flying upwards. Will the Newton's third law apply here? Sometimes the third law is not so obvious. You'd probably say that the bird is the only object here and there's no second object. But that's not correct. The wings of the bird push the air downwards and the air pushes the bird upwards.
I-explain natin yan, ano? So, in the first picture to the left is a frog and the water. So, the frog and the water are the two objects interacting with each other. What is the action? Is the frog swimming pushes the water backward. So, ito yun yung green arrow. What is the reaction? It's from the water pushes the frog forward. So that is the equal and opposite reaction. So again, the two objects interacting are the frog and the water. The frog is pushing the water backward and the water is pushing the frog forward. That is why the frog is able to swim and move around. The next example to the right is a bird interacting with the air. What happens here? In Filipino, yung ibon daw, tinutulak niya yung hangin pababa gamit ang kanyang pakpak. Nagre-react naman yung hangin. Tinutulak niya yung ibon pataas. Ito yung red arrow. Yung red arrow, yung hangin. Yung green arrow, yung ibon. Tinutulak niya pababa yung hangin. So, naglalaban sila. Ganun ba? Yes, opposite. Opposite direction. That is why the bird is able to fly to the different directions. Okay? Tuloy natin yung video.
Action and reaction forces make it possible for birds to fly. We take one last example to understand something very interesting about the third law. What happens when a gun is fired? You're right. It exerts a forward force on the bullet. And the bullet exerts an equal and opposite reaction force on the gun. And this exists in recoil of the gun. A perfect example of Newton's third law. But hold on. If the force exerted by the gun on the bullet is the same as the force exerted by the bullet on the gun, then why doesn't the gun recoil with the same acceleration as the bullet? The gun recoils, yes, but it doesn't recoil at the same acceleration as the bullet, right? Same magnitude of forces, but different accelerations. Why do you think this happens? Okay, so if your concept of the second law of motion was clear, you wouldn't really be surprised.
So, yung example na to guys, application both ng second and third law. So, we have here the gun bullet and the gun recoil or recoil of the gun. They have the same forces. So, what is the action? It's the gun recoil, coming from the gun recoil, and the reaction is coming from the bullet, which pushes inward. The gun recoil pushes outward. Pero bakit daw lumabas pa rin yung bala? It has something to do with their different accelerations. Which has greater acceleration? It's the bullet than the gun recoil. So it was able to escape or come out from the gun. Okay, let's continue.
surprised with this. The second law of motion says that the force is the product of the object's mass and acceleration, or the acceleration of the object is equal to the force over its mass. What does this tell us? Yes, if the mass is more, then the acceleration will be less. In this example, the mass of the gun is much more than that of the bullet. Hence, the acceleration of the rifle is lesser than that of the bullet. If you're in a boat and step out of it onto the land, there are two forces involved. You pushing the boat behind and the boat pushing you forward. And that's why you see the boat go behind when you go forward.
Oh. Ano daw ang nangyayari sa example na to? Kapag lumakad ka daw paabante, tinutulak mo yung bangka palikod. Ang reaction naman ng bangka ay itulak ka paharap. So, mapapansin mo daw na kapag naglakad kang ganyan, yung bangka ay pumapalikod and you are moving forward. Okay?
Now let's say a sailor jumps off a huge ship. The sailor does apply a force on the ship, and the ship also applies a force on the sailor. But do you
Sailor.
think the ship will accelerate as much as the sailor? Not really. And I think you know why.
Bakit daw hindi mo maigalaw yung kung ikaw si sailor, yung lalaking dito, bakit daw hindi umaatras yung barko kapag ikaw ay nag-move forward? Syempre, it has something to do with the mass of the barko. Kaya mo ba naman i-move yan backward, di ba? So, common sense na naman yon. Okay, what's next? So, that is about the third law of motion. Let's see your activity sheets now.
The only question you need
Ayan. Ito na yung um, Activity 1. What is the title? All about third law of motion. Direction. Read carefully the paragraph below. Fill the missing blanks of word found inside the box. So your answers will come from this box. So you will understand what is stated in this paragraph and you choose from the box a word that will suit the concept best. Okay, sige nga. Newton's third law of motion states that whatever an object exerts, whenever an object exerts a blank and a second object, the second object exerts an, diba? Balikan nyo lang yung points to remember, masasagutan nyo yan. Itong 1, 2, what is the other name for third law of motion? The third law of motion, sabi sa number 3 and 4, is known as law of every force exerted is accompanied by an pag sinabing an, the answer will start from a, e, i, o, u. Kasi gumamit siya ng an. Madali lang yan guys, itong activity 1. Pili ka lang dito sa box. Okay, let's move on. Alright, so this is your activity number 2, entitled, What is the action? What is the reaction? So you have to read each situation carefully and you identify the action and reaction in each situation. Just like the examples in the video, we have the frog and the ocean water. We have the ball and the table, the bird and the air. Okay, mga ganon. So, you just write in your paper since you are using your answer sheet number 1 and then you don't need to copy the situation. Just write your answer for action and reaction. Okay, so what is the situation in number 1? A baby rocket was released during the New Year's Eve. So what is that baby rocket? Yung tinatawag na paputok daw sa bagong taon. So there would be an expelling of gas out of the baby rocket and the baby rocket moves forward. So from that happening, you write the action and the reaction. For number 2, an athlete is running in the athletic field. Syempre, nakanood na kayo ng ng takbuhan doon sa oval natin kapag mga athletic meets natin. So what happens there? So the athlete's foot pushes the field backward and then the track field pushes the athlete forward. Katumbas lang ito nung nagsiswimming or nung lalaki na umaalis sa bangka. So what are the two objects interacting in number 2? We have the athlete gamit ang kanyang paa, syempre running nga eh. And the field or the ground. Okay, for number 3, a book was placed. Dapat may letter D dyan. Past tense. A book was placed on top of the table. Saktong-sakto yung sa ball and the table kanina sa video natin. So, the book will act on the table and the table will react. So, the normal force acts on the book and the book does not fall or move because the table has an equal force acted back to the book. They have the same force in opposite direction. They have the same magnitude, so the book will not move. Okay, so for number 4, the situation is tricycle driver started the engine. Ngeng, ngeng, ngeng. Ganon. Ganon ba yung tunog ng tricycle? Okay. So, ano yung action and reaction? Keep quiet, anak. The tires push the road backward, and then the road pushes the car. Bakit naging car? The tricycle forward. So, what are the two objects interacting in number 4? It's the tricycle, particularly the tire or the wheel, and the road. Number 4, sinabi ko na yung sagot, just pay attention. Number 5, a boy hits the softball while playing. Do you know the softball? Oh. Si anak naman, salita ng salita. Okay. So, the ball coming out or coming toward the hitting, or the ball coming toward and hitting the bat. So, yung ball daw parating, papunta kay bat. And the ball bouncing in the opposite direction of the bat. Bat. Hindi bot. Bat. The baseball bat. Ganun ba yun? A boy hits the softball while playing. So, what are the two objects interacting here? It's the ball and the bat. Yung bola at yung pamalo. Okay, so you think what is the action and the reaction? Okay, let's move on. Okay, a friendly reminder lang, hindi naman required yan. Gusto ko lang na ma-share ang mga ganitong ganap so we could help more each other. Thank you. Or we can help more. Sabi ko, we can help more each other. So we could help more students. So they know that there is a tutorial like this. Okay, let's proceed. So we are now in your activity 3. Ready, set, and go. So you prepare all the materials. You need your meter stick, your ruler, measuring tape. So kahit alin dyan, basta makapag-measure kayo. You need 3 long balloons with different sizes. You should have your small, medium, and large. Bakit? Because this will signify the difference in force. Of course, for the large balloon, it has more force because it will contain more air. And then, susunod si medium balloon, and then, pinakaunting force, si small balloon. And then, you need your string, tali. So, pwedeng straw or yarn. Mas maganda yung yarn. Then, you need your drinking straw, scissors, scotch tape, and meter stick. Parang ang hirap intindihin kasi ang daming nakasulat. Pero ang gagawin nyo dito is, patatakbuhin ninyo yung straw doon sa tali. So, dapat meron kayong tali na ang haba ay 5 meters. And then, yung tali na yon ilulusot nyo sa straw. Yung ginagamit sa pag-inom ng palamig or soda. Okay. And then, kapag nailagay nyo na yung drinking straw sa tali, itali nyo sa dalawang upuan or basta gawin ninyong parang sampayan yung tali na nakalagay na yung straw. Dapat banat na banat. Para kapag ginamitan mo na ng hangin galing sa balon, makatakbo siya ng maganda dun sa tali. Okay, sabi niya, measure 5 meters of string. Insert the string into the drinking straw. O, yung sinabi ko, ilusot nyo na yung straw dun sa tali. And then, kapag nandun na yung straw, itali nyo na siya na parang sampayan. Kahit ano pa dyan, dalawang upuan, or kahit saan dyan, basta may tali nyo siya na parang sampayan. Banat. Dapat, banat na banat yung tali. Na hindi naman mabali, matputol. Para kapag andyan na yung balloon, nirelease mo yung hangin, makatakbo yung straw doon sa tali na kinalalagyan niya. Okay, and then kapag meron ka ng parang sampayan dyan na may nakalagay na or nakalusot na straw, mag-blow up ka na ng balloon. Simulan mo daw sa small balloon. Sa pinakaunting pinakaunting hangin. And you tape it to the drinking straw while holding the other end. Make sure the air will not escape while holding the balloon. So, maglobo ka na ng balloon. Unahin mo yung maliit. And then, so wag mong bibitawan yung balloon habang tinitape mo siya sa straw na nakalagay sa tali. And then, kapag na-tape mo na, dapat i-position mo yung straw sa pinakadulo. And then, ready, set, go. Bitawan mo na yung balloon. Tatakbo yung straw doon sa tali. And then, i-measure mo gaano kalayo ang natakbo ng straw doon sa tali. Gamit yung tulak ng hangin from the small balloon. Sabi sa number 6, predict the distance traveled along the string for a balloon that is filled with air so that it is small, medium, and large in size. Then record the actual distances for small, medium, and large size of balloon. Write your prediction on the table 1. Alright, so bago mo isulat or bago mo gawin yung pagpapatakbo sa straw, magsulat ka muna ng hula mo. Gaano kalayo ang matatakbo niya gamit ang small, medium, and large balloon. And then, sa totoong natakbo niya, i-record mo din. And then, you will have your comparison later on. Okay. And then, sa number 6, predict, tapos na yan. Number 7, ano sabi sa number 7? Release the balloon, observe how far the balloon travel. Release how far the balloon travel and observe. Bakit mo siya ititape pala sa straw? Kasi kapag hindi mo itinape sa straw, paano mo ma-measure yung travel distance niya? So mas maganda naka-tape siya sa straw kasi tatakbo yung straw. And then you are able to measure how far the balloon travel, and which also corresponds to the travel distance by the straw. Yung layo na natakbo ng straw doon sa parang sampayan mo, yun na rin yung travel distance by the balloon. Okay, number 8. Measure how far the balloon traveled after you release the balloon. Repeat this procedure in 3 trials. Express the distance in centimeter. So, gamitin niyo yung ruler. Merong centimeter dyan. Repeat procedure 5 using the other balloons. Medium size and large size balloon. And then, you record your answer in the table 1. Ito siya. Nandyan sa activity sheet ninyo. Nagets nyo dapat meron kayong parang sampayan na nakalusot na doon yung straw. Banat na banat dapat para kapag pinatakbo mo na with the balloon, walang hadlang na bumps doon sa string or tali. Ayan. So, I hope you understood what you will do in activity 3. Meron pa ba? Let's see. Alright, so you have your guide questions. Number 1, compare the predicted value and the actual value in the 3 sizes of the balloon. Mag-compare lang kayo. Which is longer distance? Is it your prediction or the actual? Mga ganun lang na comparison. Number 2, based from the activity, what makes the balloon move? Ano daw ang nagpagalaw sa balloon? Yung kamay mo ba? Yung tape ba? O yung hangin sa loob niya? Okay, number 3. Please answer in complete sentence. Number 3, as the balloon moves, which is considered to be the action you did to the balloon? O, andyan na naman yung action and reaction. And then number 4, what is the reaction movement of the balloon? Ano daw ang reaction ng balloon nung nirelease mo yung gas? Is it movement forward, movement backward, something like that? Okay. Answer in complete sentence. Let's see kung meron pa. Yan. So, that's all for your week 2 for quarter 2, Science 8. Happy learning from yours truly, Teacher Mylene. So, I hope this video will help you. Until next time, just abang-abang lang tayo. Thank you very much.